Okay, hello, action, right? So today is episode 3 of Blown Speakers, okay? And we have a special guest, okay? The host of the well-known and much beloved Got Faded Japan, Johnny. Welcome, Johnny.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're honored to have you. And let's see. So today we are going to talk about the 1982 horror punk classic Misfits Walk Among Us, right? And first I thought I'd talk about my relationship with this album, right? How I came to appreciate. I feel like I was very primed to hear this album. Like when I heard this album when I was 15, I instantly loved it, right? And I think it was a continuation of like things I had already aligned myself with earlier. Okay, so I want to explain that briefly. Okay, let's see. Can anyone tell me what this is?
Teacher, I know.
You ever seen one of those, Johnny? What is that?
I remember it's one of those things that went in with those big boom boxes. It's called a cassette tape. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, a cassette tape. Love those things.
So, when I was a kid, I had a couple vinyls, but I wasn't good at taking care of them, right? So I had Michael Jackson's Thriller. I had Loverboy Get Lucky. I had a Kenny Rogers vinyl, right? But I remember being really happy when I started buying cassettes. I just found them much easier to deal with, right? Like vinyls, I was always scratching. So when I was 12, with my paper out money, I started buying cassettes. Okay, so I'm in the 6th grade, and these are among the first cassettes I remember having, right? I had the Scorpions, Love at First Sting, right? Rock You Like a Hurricane, Big City Nights. And I think even as a kid, I thought this album, the album cover is actually cooler than the material on the album. And, like the Scorpions had a few cool jams, but I don't know. Anyways, of course, Van Halen, 1984, right? Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen, right? I had this Kiss album, right? Lick It Up. So this is their first album without makeup, right? And of course, it's considered past their prime, but yeah, I loved it when I was 12. Stay Hungry, Twisted Sister. So Johnny, I remember you and I talked about Twisted Sister one time.
Oh, yes. Oh, love the D. Love the D.
So of course
was that their debut, Dave? Was that the
No, I think they had a couple albums. Do you know, Johnny, what were their albums before this?
I think the biggest album that they had before this one was called Under the Knife. I think that was their first major album. But I mean, when this came out, Stay Hungry, when that came out like way past their prime. I mean, they were a band for like 20 years before this came out. I mean, they were rocking and rolling all over the East Coast, especially the Northeast or whatever, like Long Island, New Jersey, Queens, a little bit in like Brooklyn, or not Brooklyn, but Manhattan and stuff. They were huge before this album came out.
But of course, the "We're Not Gonna Take It" video, right? So when you're 12 years old and you see that, I mean, I was instantly sold on that. "We're Not Gonna Take It" and "I Wanna Rock," right?
Mm-hmm.
So so I'm 12 years old. This is what I'm listening to. Okay, kind of standard in some ways, but and I was buying heavy metal magazines at the local drugstore, Fox Drug. I would read Hit Parader and Circus, and later there was one called Rip. but I think especially Hit Parader was my go-to, right? But it was kind of frustrating because like a lot of the bands I would read about in the magazines, I couldn't hear anywhere. Like they never played them on the radio in Cleveland. Like I never heard Judas Priest or Motorhead on the radio in Cleveland, right? And this is before, so MTV was out, but they hadn't started doing Headbangers Ball. So there was no, there was no opportunity to even see like an Iron Maiden video or anything, right? So it was like at this time, I think I had this kind of frustration or this longing to discover like something deeper within metal. And I don't know how I knew how to do this, but I ventured down to the left end of the dial, right? So I went down to the 88.7 college radio station, right? And there were two heavy metal shows on Friday nights. One was called Metal on Metal. So Johnny, maybe you recognize this title from somewhere.
Anvil.
Yes. So it was 1982 that the Anvil album Metal on Metal came out. So this guy named his show, his radio show, after the Anvil album. Okay, so he was a big fan. And the amazing thing about this show and this guy is that it's still on. This guy is still doing this show for 38 years. Yeah, Bill Peters. So he's like a fixture of the Cleveland metal scene. Yeah, and he's still going strong. You can listen to it online. So here in Japan, it would come on Saturday mornings. Yeah, so the guy's just considered a legend, right? And I'm already looking forward to 2022 when he'll do his like 40th anniversary show, right? So it's considered the longest running metal show in history, perhaps, if any listeners want to research that and challenge that. But I think from most people's understanding, this is the longest running metal show, right? But there was another metal show at that time called Hit the Lights, right? Which they took from the Metallica song, right? So for me, it was exciting to start listening to these bands I had only seen pictures of, right? Like Motorhead, etc. And of course, instantly my favorite band became Metallica, right? Out of what I was hearing from these guys. And I was 13 when I bought Master of Puppets, right? And like this album just blew my mind. Like it seemed far beyond, it blew away all my other cassettes, right? They instantly just became my favorite.
Is that a picture? Excuse me, Dave. Is that a picture of the actual cassette?
I took this from online.
Nice.
The cassette I owned was probably left in someone's van in like 1989 or something, but mine looked just like this, right? And Elektra Records, right?
Yeah, I just noticed that Metallica on Elektra.
Yeah.
I like that.
So these guys were my favorite band, right? And of course, Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning. I mean, this was just the best stuff, right? And I'm happy that I could, be listening to this before I was even out of grade school, right? So it was a good kind of starting point, I think. And boop, so Cliff Burton, right, the bassist of Metallica. So of course I noticed this tattoo on his arm, right? So is visible in almost every picture of him. You could see his the crimson ghost on his arm, right? And kind of, I'm sure the younger generation gets bored of hearing of this, but gets sick of hearing of this. But in those days, right? So I see this tattoo on his arm. I'm curious about that. I want to know what it is, what it symbolizes. There's no way for me to find out, right? I mean, who could I even ask about that, right? So
Mike Peters?
Yeah. Oh, Bill Peters. Yeah. Call up Bill Peters and us. Yeah. Yeah. That
But
could have been.
You're not going to think of that as a kid.
I was probably too intimidated by Mr. Peters.
Yeah.
But so basically I was really at the mercy of if they happened to mention in an article in Hit Parader what Cliff Burton's tattoo was all about. You know, if the name Misfits happened to be name dropped somewhere, you know, that'd be the only way I'd be able to know. But so anyways, I had no idea what this tattoo was. They're my favorite band. I want to know everything I can about them. So I thought this is, so here Cliff Burton looks like kind of a rock star, right? You could see, but like, look at this picture. He really looks like a kid here, right? Like he just looks like some stoner guy at a keg party, right? But you can see he's already got the Misfits tattoo. And even when you couldn't see his tattoo, he'd be wearing the Misfits shirt, right? So he was just constantly promoting the Misfits, right? And so Greg, you and I, in episode 2, we talked a lot about Arthur Lee's pants, right?
Yeah.
His fashion choices. A cool thing about Cliff Burton, right? So even though, like, if you look at the rest of the guys in the band's pants, they all had like the standard thrash metal, you know, skin tight jeans. But Burton, right, the San Francisco boy, just insisted on wearing bell bottoms, right? So I think it's kind of cool. If you read this quote from James Hetfield, right? He meant business and you couldn't fuck around with him. I wanted to get that respect that he had. We gave him shit about his bell bottoms every day. He didn't care. This is what I wear. Fuck you.
It looks, it looks like, you know, that the 3 other guys in Metallica look like, the thrash metal guys, like, I don't know, 1985, 86. And then he looks like a lone guy from Leonard Skinner guy.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, that era, I mean, that's probably when he, you know, his formative years, the early 70s, getting into Sabbath and, you know.
Like he's a little bit older than them, but not so much, right? Like I think he's less than a year older than Kirk. But I think he's kind of a cool amalgamation of just subcultures or whatever, because he's in a thrash band, right? But he's also like some kind of hippie guy, you know, San Francisco hippie guy. But he loves the Misfits, right? And he was also like a big Southern rock guy, right? So he and he was really into classical music. So like interesting cat, you know? So of course, you know, so I remember the day I read in Hit Parader that he was killed, right, in a bus crash in Sweden. And I just remember being shocked. I mean, you know, someone in your favorite band dies. He was 24 years old. Like, I mean, that's even younger than, you know, the 27 group, right? Morrison, Kurt Cobain, etc. So, and you know, I've always thought that nothing against Newsted and Trujillo, but Metallica has never been as good without Cliff Burton. Okay, that was my. I mean, I don't even think that's a controversial statement, right? Their first 3 albums are their best, I would say. But so, so anyways, I was very fascinated with the image of the Fiend, right? The Misfit symbol. So after Cliff Burton died, then Metallica puts out this tape, right? Garage Days Revisited with Jason Newsted, right? It's just kind of, I think it was kind of a transitional album, like getting over the death of Cliff. So it was all covers, and you'll notice the last track on the album is like kind of a medley of 2 Misfits songs put together, right? And I think that would have been the first time I actually heard a Misfits song was Metallica doing it, right? And I mean, I just remember among my friends who listened to Metallica, all of us instantly, our favorite song on this was that last one, right? Last Caress in Green Hell, right? So Metallica was kind of leading me toward the Misfits, okay? Also, in the summer of '87, I bought a Sex Pistols album, right? So now, and this was a bit of a jump. I remember not immediately liking this. It took me a bit to get used to Johnny Rotten's voice. And yeah, I kind of had to work my way into it. But once I did, I was like, okay, right, ready to go, right? And yeah, I love this album. A classic. Okay, so we got the metal in play, we got the punk in play, and also around this time, horror movies, right? So I just remember going to the local video store, and I would just immediately go to the horror corner, and I'd just be like, seen it, like finally finding one I hadn't seen. Yeah, but it was really my goal. I wanted to watch every horror movie that I could at the time. That was what I was viewing. Okay, going back to my child. So this was more kind of my teenage years. I was watching this stuff. Okay, but I think a big reason I was drawn to horror would be this guy who was on TV in Cleveland when I was growing up, right? Superhost.
I thought it was John Wayne Gacy for a second.
And you can see he's actually wearing long underwear. So he just passed away earlier this year at the age of 87. Superhost, Marty Sullivan. And yeah, he just had this show on Saturday afternoons. He'd play Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, and then in the afternoons he'd play Godzilla, Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolf. I was a teenage werewolf, stuff like that. So I kind of grew up watching that, right? And then that kind of put me into the, video rental horror, right? So I got the metal, the punk, and the horror influence, right? But then there was one more important piece of the puzzle before I come to the Misfits. And I want to show you guys this clip. I'm going to let this play for a few minutes because you have to, there's a rhythm to it that you have to kind of step into. But this was on public access TV. So I don't know if you guys had weird amateur TV shows in Buffalo or Detroit, but in
yeah,
Channel 20.
But we had this. Okay, the less I say about it, the better. But I used to watch this like just with the lights off and the volume blasted. What?
In a world gone mad, you will be my slaves. In a world gone mad, lies are the truth.
It's from Fox News.
In a world gone mad, up is down. In a world gone mad, black is white. In a world gone mad, your mommy will rip your head off and feed it to the dog. In a world gone mad, you cannot trust mommy and daddy. Mommy and daddy are the enemy. Mommy and daddy, they're trying to kill you. I want you to understand that. I watched a building collapse on your mommy and daddy. What a laugh I had. You think I give a damn about life and death? Yeah, baby, yeah. I'm cold-blooded dog. Are you frightened? I murdered all of my elementary school teachers, didn't you? I love the suffering. I love the violence. love the destruction. I love the sickness. I love the vile sickness. What is it? What is it? What is it? Ah, it's vile. You make me sick. I'll crack your skull. I'll rip out your guts with my bare teeth.
Yeah, just to give you an idea.
So was that from Puppet Master?
The you mean the footage of the puppet?
Yeah.
No. So it's just like a local artist, you know, wrote the script and did the puppet, and then he just put in a bunch of horror movie scenes, right?
Oh wow.
And that would come on, yeah, Friday night. I can't remember what channel, but yeah, it was public access, and just me and all my friends in high school got into it, right? And even like, you know, my friends who I remember being into it in those days. It's funny because I just researching it, I looked up the doctor's Facebook page, and like all my old buddies are like, you know, members, like they're still following like what he's doing, or at least still fans of what he did. And so we just ate that up, like me and my friends, like, so just like in the hallway, we, you know, at school, you say to each other, like, lick my boot, or you're the scum, or, you know, like we're always talking in that guy's voice, right? So yeah, and that came out in 87, right? So that was, you know, leading up to when I heard the Misfits, right? So I'm just trying to remember what would have been going on in my mind and what I was into when I first heard Walk Among Us. Yeah, it kind of all makes sense when I look at it like that. But so that's where I was when I was 15 before I heard Walk Among Us. So Johnny, what's your story?
You mean how I became a Misfits fan?
Yeah.
Well, my story takes place a long time ago. Let's see. I come from a family of hippies and rockers. I was first introduced to rock and roll by my uncle, who was he was a factory worker. And I remember I would be babysit by my grandmother when I was a little kid, and my uncle would come home and he would put on records like Alice Cooper records and drink beer. And that's kind of like how I got my start. And which is funny because he didn't live with my grandmother. He lived somewhere else. Maybe he was getting his clothes washed or something, now that I think about it. Why was he there? But I remember he was listening to Alice Cooper, and I just thought that was like the coolest fucking shit. I mean, the coolest stuff I've ever listened to. Sorry about that. Sorry for the F. Yeah. So anyway, I think that was my start into like rock and roll. And then from there, you know, I had some cousins, and my cousins were their attitudes and behavior would be considered questionable. And they were role models for me. I mean, the things that they did and the music that they listened to. And my cousin had this shirt. It was a Misfits shirt, one of the very, 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 very first and oldest Misfits shirts. I looked it up to see if I could find it. I couldn't find it anywhere online, which means it was pretty old school, but he used to wear that all the time. And I thought that was cool. And then all of a sudden one day he came over and he had one of those devil locks. You know, he had long hair and he had a devil lock. And I was just like, what is this? You know? And he's like, it's the Misfits, you know? And he put on Walk Among Us. And at that time, I was listening to a lot of hard rock. I was listening to the Ramones. I was listening to Cooper. I was listening to a Metallica and stuff. And I think you're a little bit older than me because I was in junior high school when Injustice for All came out. But then through Injustice from All, I kind of got... I guess oversaturated with the rest of Metallica's cassettes and their database of music. So anyway, from my cousin, I was introduced to the Misfits, and when I heard it, it basically blew me away. The songs themselves were just incredible. I never heard any kind of punk rock like that before. I was already listening to the Ramones and the Sex Pistols at that point, but the one thing that I really enjoyed was just like how catchy every song was. You know, I mean, every song on Walk Among Us is just absolutely phenomenal. And from beginning to end, I mean, they end with the song Brain Eaters, you know, which is like one of the most catchiest songs in punk rock history, you know? I mean, it's like, I mean, the song Brain Eaters is almost like a drinking song. And I can just imagine like a music video on MTV where like a bunch of like zombies are drinking, singing about beers, you know?
Oh, Johnny, there is a video. You know, they made a video for Brain Eaters. Yeah.
Oh my God. Was it like stop motion animation, like Gumby or something? That would have been awesome.
We'll watch it today. So yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Let's definitely do that. I've seen a couple of their more modern videos, and they're okay. They're all right. So I haven't really pursued that, but I just love the music. And Walk Among Us is by far one of my favorite Misfits albums. I mean, they're all pretty good. Well, Project 1950s is okay. Let's not talk about that one. But all the others I think are pretty fantastic. But
the later stuff I'm not especially interested in, but I'm a huge Walk Among Us fan.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's spectacular. So that's pretty much, I guess, long story short, my career into hard rock and punk rock, especially the Misfits.
Wait, who was that with the Devil Lock? That was your cousin?
That was my cousin, Chris. Yeah.
So how much older was he than you?
About a month.
Oh, okay. So about the same age.
About the same age, yeah.
Okay.
His parents were a little bit more free than my parents. My parents are a little bit more controlling at that time. And yeah, his parents really just didn't care what he did or whatever, you know. So he had the cool parents, and my parents, you know, I mean, my parents were hippies. They were hardcore hippies, you know. I mean, God, I mean, when I was a kid, I hated the Beatles. Wow. All right. I absolutely despised the Beatles, right? Now I appreciate the Beatles now that I'm older. But when I was a kid, you know, you have parents that are hippies and stuff, you know, and they're listening to the Beatles and I want to hold your hand. And you grow up on that. You're just like, man, I mean, to heck with this hippie stuff, you know? I mean, it's just like, oh gosh, this is boring. This is mom and dad's music, you know? I mean, they also like, you know, modern 80s pop music, but it's just like when you hear the Beatles when you're a little kid, you kind of want to do the polar opposite of your parents, you rebel. And I definitely did hit the polar opposite by listening to the Misfits and the Sex Pistols and the Ramones. And later on, GBH, DRI, The Exploited, you know, and I got pretty deep.
Cool.
That's my story.
Cool. Greg, you want to comment on punk in general, or?
No, I will. No, well, let's stay focused on the Misfits. I mean, I came. Oh, Dave, you introduced me to the Misfits, so I was totally, you know, so I'm the new kid on the block here, and definitely late to the party as far as the Misfits, because I didn't hear the Misfits until you put it on a mix CD for me when. I don't know, about 15 years ago. So I was well into my 30s by the time I first heard the Misfits. So I don't know if it had quite the same resonance for me as a 30-something adult in Japan, but I still, you know, enjoyed it. And I heard Glenn, I got to say this, I'm probably an anomaly here too. And then I heard Glenn Danzig first. Guys I knew in college, collection of guys from New Jersey who were more into metal, and they were known as the Bud Boys. The one guy, Dean, was somehow, I remember watching it. He was playing the song "Twist the Cane" by Glenn Danzig.
Twist the Cane. Was it called Twist the Cane? I thought it was Twist.
I thought it was Twist the Cane. Am I wrong,
Johnny? Twist of.
I do not know, but let's not Google it. It's better not to know.
All right.
It's a pretty good song, pretty heavy. You know, he's more in a kind of a metal phase.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, well, enough of that. But yeah, it wasn't until you put 20 Eyes on a mix CD, and yeah, and I liked it quite a bit. And then I remember making a Halloween mix for either in Japan or when I came back to the States, to Buffalo, and I put Astro Zombies also from Walk Among Us on there. And yeah, then just, gradually learn more about the Misfits, and I've done a little homework this week about them. It's just interesting, I think, how they, and I was surprised as I did start to research them that, because I first heard Danzig, and it was these guys, the Bud Boys, who were into metal. Like I saw him as like a metal guy, like kind of like a, not a hair metal guy, but someone like Metallica into metal. And then with their whole look, it was with the horror punk, and it's just so theatrical. I was surprised that they came out, in the late 70s and influenced by the first wave of punk, like the Ramones, and which had a very stripped down look. But it's just interesting how, in my mind, as I was listening this week and thinking about it, they were kind of like marrying the Ramones and Kiss, and Alice Cooper. Johnny mentioned Alice Cooper. I think that, horror, theater, I can't say the word.
Theatricality.
Yes. I choked on it. Theatricality. That kind of horror theatricality married with punk, and they really, and borrowing liberally from the Wikipedia page, they created the subgenre of horror punk. But they really did, pump up the volume on the horror aspect with the look, the devil locks, and then the gore and the lyrics. So, yeah, cool. And then I remember actually one more thing, then we'll get moving. You mentioned to me when we were in Japan, there was an article you sent to me about a guy growing up in New Jersey, and he was maybe from Lodi, where they're from, and he saw the Misfits as, a real source of regional pride. And he was talking about going to this bar restaurant where they make like steak sandwiches or something, like, working class kind of place. And like pepper steak sandwiches. And I think this guy was Italian American. So to find out all these guys, or almost all the original members, were Italian American, like coming from pretty conservative households, like working class, it's pretty funny, surprising. I guess.
I think a lot of punk rockers did come from that background. I mean, the Ramones, they came from like Queens, and their parents are all hardworking people. Iggy Pop's family, they all worked in factories and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people,
I guess,
punk rock families are blue collar.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't be. So I guess it's been maybe, and I'm, on my dad's side, Italian American. Maybe it's just with from my family being Italian American, and the Italian American guys I knew growing up were more conservative, and more, I don't know, they weren't into punk. Certainly weren't into punk. So, and I don't mean that as
more into the Sopranos, right? Let me make you a little offer you can't refuse, huh?
So full disclosure, and my last name, family name is Genko. So that's the name in The Godfather, the front for the Corleone crime family. So
Genko, is it Genko olives? Is that what it's called?
Genko olive oil.
Genko olive oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch what you
say.
John.
Yeah, you're right. Of course. Yeah, Johnny, you're right. Of course, punk rock has its roots in
Greg will send his boys after.
Remember, what was it? Okay, real quick tangent. There was that bar. It was a ramen shop in Nerima, but it kind of served as a bar. Well, it was a bar too.
Sure, the master.
And the first time we went in there, and you had the video camera. The first time I met the proprietor, it was a nice guy, very friendly old Japanese guy, but he would serve drinks, and then through the night he'd get kind of drunk. But when you told him my last name was Janko and that there was some supposed mafia connection, I think his reply was machine gun pizza.
Yeah. Machine gun pizza. He's
And you're like, oh, I got to remember
kind of
that.
collaging together his image of
Yeah. Of all Italian American culture.
yeah.
He didn't know about the Misfits.
Uh,
All right. Okay. We probably should move on to the track list.
All right. Well, I want to discuss the album cover. Wait, so just a moment. Just a moment, guys. Let me see. Oh,
Which one?
yeah. So that's the thing. All right, Johnny, in your mind, in your soul, what is the what's the cover of, what color is the cover of Walk Among Us?
God, if I can remember correctly, I mean, I know now that there's two, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of the cassette that I had, and I
See, if you had the cassette, you're probably, like me. Wait, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. It's going to take a second to
think
get this up.
I think it might have been purple.
Purple. Yeah. So me
think it was
too. Like
purple.
my so the original cover was pink. Right. Let me see. Right. Trying to share this just a moment. Okay. Okay. So here's the original cover, right? And I guess it was a mistake, right? They didn't want it to be pink, right?
Yeah, apparently Danzig hated it.
Yeah.
He hates everything.
Yeah. Wait a minute,
He
guys.
hates the world.
Right. So yeah, so I guess Danzig was outraged that it was pink, right? But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with, yeah, when I had the cover, I had the cassette, which first came out in '88. It was purple, right? Like this.
What's it purple? Shit.
Yeah, purple with the logo in green, right? And I have the cassette somewhere here. Yeah, this is what my cassette looked like. Yeah.
Okay, that's probably the same one I had.
Yeah. So, all right, maybe let's look at the purple one. Yeah, I guess it was a mistake with the printing that the original one came out pink. I guess Danzig was pissed off. But I don't know. Even in pink, it still looks kind of badass, right?
No, it looks great. I think the other one pops a little bit more, but yeah, this one, I mean, both are visually eye-catching. I mean, if you're walking through a record store, I mean, you're obviously going to look at that. I mean, it's neon, and just the way the Misfits, the logo itself, or the text logo, it just pops. You just see it very quickly. So I think that's good because a lot of old school punk rock albums, 45s, records, even cassettes, they all are kind of unified. They all kind of look similar. I mean, that's the one thing about whatchamacallit, the Sex Pistols. The Sex Pistols was pink, and all of a sudden you have like Sex Pistols, never mind the Bullocks. It was really bold. So if you are walking in a cassette or a CD or a record store, a record store back in the day, and you have hundreds of records all over the place, it'd be easier to see the Misfits or the Sex Pistols if it was in like a punk rock section. You're just like, out of all these, my eye goes towards this one. What is this? And let's be honest, a lot of young kids do judge books by a cover. So when you do go to a record store and you see this, you're like, oh, wow, that text looks cool. That picture looks pretty amazing. I'm going to give this a shot for $5. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And just the Misfits artwork was always great, right? I mean, all the 7 inches and various collections. I mean, the covers always look awesome, I think. The logos, right? The name is awesome. Also, of course, the Fiend logo, right? The Crimson Ghost, one of the most beloved kind of band logos, right? And they took the flying saucers are from a movie called Earth versus the Flying Saucers, 1956, right? The rat bat spider is from a movie called The Angry Red Planet, 1959. Okay. Yeah, so they're going back a bit to get their imagery. And the Crimson Ghost, right? The Fiend, that's from the 40s. What was it? 46, right? So they're going pretty far back. I mean, considering they were young guys, they're going pretty far back in like kind of American pop culture to assemble the images they want, right? And so the reason I showed that doctor clip, okay, it was called video psychotherapy for shut-ins, is, yeah, I think that's a good example of just like pulling images from previous decades, right? And kind of just rehashing it and repurposing it and presenting it in a way that, you know, gets your point across, right? And the Misfits already had like a pretty like deep concept of doing that, even, you know, while they were still very young guys, you know? So, yeah, I think that's kind of cool. Also, that the doctor kind of taught me some of the humor that I would need to really appreciate the Misfits, I think. But
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'm curious, did they go that far back, not only because those images were cool, but also because they wouldn't have to pay the copyrights?
Could be. Were they that shrewd?
In the 40s, they're already dead.
Do you think they were that shrewd, Johnny? Like, dude,
Glenn, maybe.
All
Doyle, no. Another thing regarding the copyrights, who owns the modern copyright of the Crimson Ghost? Because all over the world, there's teeny boppers that don't even know who the Misfits are, what they represent. They don't even know any of their songs, but they're rocking Misfits shirts or Crimson Ghost shirts, right? I guess Misfits shirts, let's be honest. A spade's a spade, right? So they're rocking Misfits shirts and they're buying these from somewhere. Somebody's got to get paid. Who's getting paid? Who owns that logo? I'm so curious. I'm like, it's got to be Glenn Danzig, but is it Glenn Danzig? You know, who owns it?
I've thought that too. Yeah. I would, I would be curious to know that. Yeah.
Somebody's getting rich somewhere. That's all I'm saying. I wish I knew.
But I wanted to talk. Have you ever really scrutinized this band photo here?
Okay, I know Jerry's on the left, Glenn's on the right. I thought Doyle was the one in the middle between them, but it's not Doyle. I know he played on a couple of their tracks, but I'm not sure which one. So I think that was their original guitarist. And then on the guy on the right, he's their drummer, but I don't know who he is. What's his name?
Arthur Googie. Arthur Googie.
Arthur Googie, that's who it is?
Yeah.
Wait, was it Brain Damage? Wasn't there a guy named Brain Damage?
They had a few different drummers, but at this case, at this point, it's Arthur Googie. So my understanding is that this was Doyle in the middle here, right? So you got, are you sure, Johnny, that's not him right there?
You know what? Now that I think about it, Doyle's pretty beefy, dude. That guy hits the gym. And this guy in the middle kind of looks like Sid Vicious. I mean, he's all like kind of frail. You know, if he sneezes, he's going to fall apart. That's not Doyle. Doyle's pretty hardcore.
So you think it's that Steele guy, whatever, Bobby Steele or whatever.
Well, Doyle replaced
Yeah.
one guy. Doyle's not the original member.
There was a guy named Steele, right? Bobby Steele or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah. I guess so. I don't know.
But Johnny, you got to remember though, when Doyle was okay, so like the ages of people, like Danzig was about 27. Jerry's about 23. And I think Doyle is like 17 or 18, right?
Oh, then that could be Doyle. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm thinking it is Doyle. This is just before he, really beefed up, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It could be him. Could be him. Could be.
Well, Johnny, because there's no way that because Doyle is the one who played on the album, right? So there's no way.
The whole album? I don't think so. I think he played on a couple of tracks, but not the full album. He might have played a "Mommy, Can I Go and Kill Tonight" because that's a live recording.
Yeah.
But I mean, actually, the one thing about this album is that even though it is their full length album, I think they recorded it in like different places and they just kind of like threw it all together. Is that true?
Yeah. And then that live, it's interesting. They have that one live track, but it totally rocks. I mean, the sound quality of that is great, right?
Oh, it's phenomenal. Oh God, yeah, it's great. It's the way it should have been.
But what I think is funny though about so this is Googie, right? Arthur Googie. So him and Danzig were just always fighting. Have you ever heard these stories? The
Danzig
infamous,
fighting somebody? No way.
no, but there's some
That's
especially funny stories with Googie. Wait, and I think you can. All right, just look at these pictures, and right. I think I gotta zoom out again. Wait, let me see. All right, like if you look at this picture of the Misfits, can you choose which guy isn't full blown in on the visual concept of the band?
The guy that kind of looks like the main person from Train Spotting.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, I mean, these guys got the makeup, the devil locks going, right? And Googie just looks like he could be in the Jam or something, right? And
He's a roadie.
yeah, and you see, here again, you see it, right?
Oh God, yeah, there you go.
And
who is this guy?
Yeah,
it's a little bit before Photoshop. They can't take the guy out.
Yeah,
like
so you could really imagine how, I mean, these guys are pretty, sincere. They're pretty serious about this image they want to create, right? And he's just not.
Oh yeah.
He's just not buying in at all, right?
No. I mean, in this case, Glenn Danzig is definitely justified in not liking this guy one bit at all.
Yeah. So, all right. So now, if you look at Googie at the cover, what do you notice about his hair?
It's completely taken out.
It's gone. He has no hair. And I was always curious about this when I had the cassette, right? Because I couldn't see it that clearly on the cassette. And I thought they were going for, so see, you can kind of see it here, right? Mm-hmm. I thought they were going for a kind of, remember that horror series, The Hills Have Eyes? With that.
Oh, long time ago, yeah.
The crazy bald guy, and he was in the Motley Crue video, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought they were just trying to make him look like some, freak or whatever, like.
I just thought he was blonde. I thought he was like the Vince Neil of the band. Like, I mean, this album did come out in 1984, right?
Yeah, 1982.
1982, yeah.
But if you look closely, like it almost looks like he's wearing a bathing cap, right? Well, okay, so the story behind it. Okay, so you got the two brothers, right? You got Jerry. So wait, how are we going to pronounce that? Siafa, right?
Just Jerry.
Jerry only. Okay, you got Jerry and Doyle, and they had a middle brother. They had a guy in the middle named Rocky. And Rocky would help Danzig out with the covers, right? And Danzig was pissed at Arthur Googie. Because if you look at this like photo, they're kind of in like this battle stance, like they look really badass and cool, right? And then he's kind of off to the side, right? But one thing that Danzig was requesting was that Googie not wear a watch. Is like you're gonna break the whole mood if you wear a watch, which I agree. I agree with Danzig at the point, but Googie refused to take off the watch, right? So when
yeah,
I can't take this thing.
It's got a calculator on it. This is high tech.
Yeah, exactly. So how the image actually looked like he's wearing a watch here, and you can imagine how that would break the mood, right? So so Danzig and the other brother Rocky, are putting the album cover together, and they make sure to airbrush out his watch, right? But just to be a dick, Danzig decides that they should also airbrush out his hair.
I love Danzig. Oh God, I got so much respect for him now. I mean, I always have, but yeah, my respect level just went up a notch. I'm like, oh, that's badass. Off with his head.
Yeah. And apparently, when Googie saw this, that was the last straw. He quit. And they had been fighting up until that point. But it's just great, all the chaos that just takes place on the album cover. Like, I mean, the fact that it came out pink, right? So Danzig's pissed off. And then Googie's hair is removed, so he's pissed off. So just in the album cover, is like sheer chaos.
It's the first album, too. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so you could hear this. There's a guy on YouTube who has interviewed Googie. So he's hearing these stories firsthand, but he hasn't. Googie hasn't come forward and actually talked apparently, but
He doesn't want to get sued.
I guess. There's also a famous story. They were out on the West Coast, and so Jerry got like a $3,000 loan from his dad to like fund this West Coast tour, and it just wasn't going well. They weren't making any money, and somehow Danzig's in charge of rationing the money, and when
that's actually kind of wise, actually, if you think about it. Danzig is pretty good with money. If I had money, if I was in a band, I'm like, Danzig, here you go. Just make sure we get this done.
And maybe because he was the oldest, they gave him that responsibility. But they're in McDonald's, and Danzig decides that everyone could only eat one cheeseburger, right? Those 59-cent cheeseburgers or however much they were in the early 80s. And but Googie's starving, and he's like, I need two. And Danzig refused, and it just turned into this big blowout that they were fighting over that, and then the watch and everything. So then on the album cover, he just makes him bald.
It happens to be like one of the most iconic punk rock albums in history.
Yeah.
I'm the bald one.
For all of time, he's going to be bald. Yeah.
You know, it'd be ironic if he did lose all of his hair. Like visual foreshadowing.
And he was kind of a good-looking kid. Like you could kind of imagine the few girls that went to Misfits shows would probably want to talk to the drummer, right? As opposed to these scary guys. I mean, that might have been part of the tension too, like Greg, isn't it true? Like in the Clash, like Paul Simone and like all the girls wanted to talk to Paul, right? Just because he was the. You ever heard that?
No, I mean, I could see. Yeah, he was a good-looking guy, Paul Simonon.
Yeah,
yeah,
well, Tommy Lee.
I could definitely see that. Had the it's like handsome, good looks. But yeah, I'm sure there was probably there could very well could be some jealousy there.
And just control.
Yeah.
Well, and he clearly he should have been, if he was going to be in the Misfits, he should have got on board with the concept, I think, So he was he was being resistant. But I like the idea that Jerry and Doyle's like old man was funding their tour. I just think it's funny to think about. So their old man was like a machine factory owner or something. And I'm sure he envisioned his boys like following in his footsteps, right? But then, they get wrapped up with this Danzig character, right? And he's, he has them putting on makeup and like, going all the way to the West Coast to blow his money, because that was part of the reason for that tension with the cheeseburgers was that Jerry was thinking like, oh shit, I got to go back home and tell my dad that we're coming home with no money, So I think it was just a tense time.
Well, all tours are kind of tense, especially when you're young. You don't have any money. You got a van with 3 wheels.
I had just one more thing about the imagery. I had this poster. Right. So this is the album cover in green. I remember I had this on my my dorm room wall. Right. And I think it's kind of interesting that they use this quote, because this has, from Revelations, this has nothing to do with Walk Among Us, right? For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, right? So I have a little pet theory about this. So 1982, the same month, actually, Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast album came out. So it's March of 82. And when Iron Maiden made the video for Number of the Beast, you can still see on YouTube, for some reason they use the the Misfits symbol, the Crimson Ghost. They take
What?
footage. They take footage from that film and show it in the video, right? So at first, I watched it last night. At the beginning, it's just kind of a flash, but then later in the video, they show like a rather lengthy clip of it, and they also use the rat, the winged rat guy, and that they kind of use like huge in the video. So I don't think that is a coincidence, right? Like they're kind of using the Misfits imagery, even though it was originally stolen. But I mean, like the Misfits were the ones using it. But why would a band as big as Iron Maiden? Well, I mean, I guess they were on their way up at that time. But yeah, I kind of feels like they were, kind of nicking some of the Misfits imagery.
Yeah,
And
that's ridiculous.
yeah. Well, watch the video. It's kind of surprising. And
it's shocking because Iron Maiden had Eddie. Eddie was already established. I mean, they had
exactly.
their first album was Killer. No, the first album was Iron Maiden. Then after that, they had Killers, The Number of the Beast, and then Power Slave, then Live After Death. And then from there, I don't even remember. But it's just like all throughout since the beginning, they had Eddie. So for them to try to rip off the Misfits or copy the Misfits, I mean, that's it's ridiculous because Eddie is pretty amazing,
Yeah.
and he's their icon, for them to steal from the Misfits. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't like Glenn.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Glenn rubbed them the wrong way or something somewhere at an airport or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, for Iron Maiden to steal anything from anybody is just shocking. Because
I mean, their imagery was locked in place for the next 40 years. I mean, what's the?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Iron Maiden even has its own font.
Yeah. So I don't. There must be a story behind that. So I don't know if
Danzig.
if I don't know, but I'm actually kind of surprised that Iron Maiden knew who the Misfits were. Aren't you kind of?
They were one of a kind at that time. I mean, going back to what Greg said, the horror rock, there was Alice Cooper, there was kind of Kiss, and there were the Misfits. And so the Misfits might have been this kind of explosion from the underground that only people that listen to punk rock or listen to hard metal knew about. They're like, hey, you got to listen to this album. This is crazy. You got to listen to this track, this cassette. This is crazy. This band is singing only about scary movies. And Iron Maiden, actually, that's probably where they intertwined, because Iron Maiden was singing about, or a lot of their stuff was about old Egypt and spells and wizardry and stuff. I mean, a little bit of World War II and stuff, but it was kind of old school kind of stuff. Iron Maiden wasn't singing about the common metal stuff that was going on at the time, if you think about it, because what else was going on in the early 80s? I mean, well, Black Sabbath had Black Sabbath, but I mean, if you think about Motorhead or even bands such as, let me think, what was big at that time in 1982? Wasp?
Yeah.
Was Wasp Exodus?
That would have been about them.
I don't know, but Iron Maiden was
Motorhead
all
is
about old-timey kind of stuff, and I guess the Misfits are old-timey kind of horror stuff, so that's kind of where they intertwined a little bit. I don't know. Maybe Iron Maiden was a little bit, I don't know, jealous or offended, or I don't know. They thought maybe,
would you think? You think they'd be threatened?
Punk rock stepping on metal's toes. This is baloney. Let's get that Danzig fellow over there in the States. I don't know. Who knows?
What do you think, Greg?
Well, I don't know. Who knows if I could see Motorhead being, a kind of parallel band connecting the kind of punk and metal worlds at the time. And maybe it could have been in tribute, or it could have been something that I don't know, the people in charge of the, just the people in charge of the video decided to do without the band even knowing about it. Because I would think, when was Number of the Beast?
So both albums came out in the same month, March of '82.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe they did. Who knows? Yeah. But it could be just something the band wasn't even aware of.
But that's just funny that you said, as tribute, because that didn't even occur to me. Just everything I was reading about the Misfits, it's all fighting and, fighting over cheeseburgers and everything. And
have you read their book?
No, I haven't. No. I
Don't read
remember
the book.
What did you say?
Don't read the book.
Don't read it. Ah.
Wait, this book leaves stains or something?
Oh,
or...
yeah, that's the title. Yeah. This music leaves
my...
stains, maybe.
Oh yeah, dude, the book, the first couple of chapters is how they got together, and you're like, oh man, this is awesome. And then the rest is just fighting and lawsuits. You're just like, oh, come on, dude. There's got to be a happy ending in here somewhere. Oh man. Yeah, don't read the book. The book is depressing. At the end, you're like, I still like the band. Sorry to interrupt you, by the way.
No. Yeah, so then this poster I had in my room, right, has this quote that is, I mean, this is verbatim the spoken word part of the song Number of the Beast. In my mind, I envisioned it like this battle, like Iron Maiden, steals the Misfits imagery, so they, as revenge, they do this. But this is only a poster, like it's not that high profile of a thing. But or it could be a tribute.
This is the internet before the internet. You're in Cleveland, Ohio, and you have this poster that was probably printed in either Los Angeles or maybe New York or something. So for it to have a stretch that goes all the way across the country, that's pretty impressive. So maybe that is kind of like an underground FU to Iron Maiden, right? 666, the number of the beast, it's ours.
Yeah. And look,
right?
they put the Fiend on either side as kind of like the gatekeepers or something. Yeah.
Well, I think we just tapped into something.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. Into the underground old school internet.
Yeah. It would be cool to know the story. But that was just something I totally stumbled upon.
Gotta call Glenn.
Well, okay. Shall we do some track analysis? Or
I would love to. I've got my own thing about the tracks. All right, so I want to hear your thing about the tracks, and then I got kind of a game kind of thing that I thought up a little minute ago.
Okay.
A little minute ago.
Oh, I meant to upload the back cover so we could look at the back cover. If you guys want to talk a bit, I'll let me prepare the back cover. Okay. Oh.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Glenn Danzig wrote all the lyrics for. Oh, go for it.
Go ahead, Greg. No, go ahead, Johnny.
All right. Greg, you've listened to the album, right? Of course you have. Okay. What's one thing that every song has in common?
That like chorus, the chorus. Oh, like kind of group harmony chorus, like kind of sing along.
The old doo-wop kind of stuff. Yeah, that's definitely
true.
It's true. The melodies, but also every single track is about a scary movie, like a horror movie, like a horror movie from the 1970s, 60s, 50s, 40s, and as far back as possibly even the 20s, right? So I want to break down every single song. I think there's like, 10 of them? And then I want you guys to help me find out which song kind of is influenced by which horror movie. I think that could be kind of fun. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I just hope I know enough about the movies. But wait, let me see.
If you don't, it's just like a fun thing and stuff. We could just be like, okay, for example, Mommy, can I come on and kill tonight? Which movie is kind of similar to that kind, or which movie has that kind of a theme?
Okay, so we could talk about current movies too, right?
Well, classic movies are funner, but anything. Yeah, sure. Why not? This is Anarchy Radio. Let's just go for it.
Okay, here's what I've been trying to do for the last minute. Okay, you see the track listening? Track
there we go.
Listings. Okay. All right, Johnny, start us off.
Okay, what, you just want me to read the titles?
No. Let's play your game.
Okay, sure, let's do it. Okay. All right, gentlemen, we've got the first track. The first track is 20 Eyes, 20 Eyes in My Head. Which movie has this kind of a theme?
Like The Blob or something like that?
Possibly The Blob. Buzz, my friend Greg.
Oh, The Fly.
There you go.
And I was thinking, I wasn't thinking about the consistent horror movie theme as I was thinking of and listening to it today. So 20 Eyes. I was thinking though today, was 20 Eyes, is he thinking of like a fly creature, Or then I was thinking, is it like, are there like 10 guys who are stalking him? 10 guys, so 20 eyes,
Ooh, like in the movie Cobra.
But probably, yeah, like the alien horrific fly, I think.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. All right, next song. We'll just go through these quickly. I Turned Into a Martian. Gentlemen.
Turned Into a Martian.
It's gonna be a Mars movie.
Oh,
Escape from
Alien.
Mars.
Alien, maybe.
Sure. I'll take Alien. Yeah, definitely. Alien. Yeah, good. All right. All hell breaks loose.
Oh, Hellraiser. Pinhead.
There you go.
That wasn't out at that time, was it?
Yeah, I know.
No, not at all.
Yeah, go
No, we're
ahead.
having
Okay,
fun.
yeah, we're just going.
I'm just riffing.
Anarchy Radio. Vampira.
So, of course, from the old movie host, right? Vampira.
Yeah, what
With the
was that? What was
microwave.
her full name? What was her full name?
I never listened to a word she said. I was only just watching. I was a little kid. I was in awe.
So maybe you're thinking of Elvira, right?
Elvira, yes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
But Vampira was like the original one from the 50s or 60s or whatever.
Ah,
They were both
I was
hot.
thinking of Elvira, yeah.
But she is kind of a tribute to Vampira.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, this one's a little tough. Nike A Go-Go.
Air Jordan commercial.
Oh, that wasn't scary.
Wait, what's the Kubrick movie about the guy riding the bomb?
Oh, I want
How I Learned to
yeah, what's the movie is
Oh God, now it's at the tip of my tongue.
yeah,
This is
George C. Scott. What is that movie?
I'm gonna say Full Metal Jacket. It's not Full Metal.
It's kind of like How I Learned to Stop.
How I learned to love the bomb. But what's the name of the movie?
What is the name of that movie?
There's a million people listening to this and watching this that are just going berserker. They're like, "Come on, guys, come on! It's a
Peter
classic."
Sellers is in there, right?
Yeah.
But we're trying not to because I didn't realize I never knew what this song was about until
Doctor Strangelove.
there you
That's
go, Doctor
it.
Strange.
Dr. Strangelove.
I didn't Google that. I just knew it came to me.
Good.
Nike. So Nike is a kind of missile.
Was it a missile? I thought Nike was the name of a girl.
No. Because I looked it up. Because I didn't. As much as I'm a fan of this album, I never really looked into the lyrics because I just kind of. I don't feel like I needed to know every detail, but like just leading up to this, I researched the lyrics, and yeah, Nike A Go-Go is a song about missiles. There was some missile named Nike. And
Really?
Yeah. I looked that up too during the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I thought it was a girl's name. I thought Nike was a girl, and it's like, Nike is a name, don't forget it. Go.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Okay, I thought it was.
Well, there's that famous Nike statue, like from Greco-Roman, because it was the god, right?
Yes.
I think
So. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, there's a famous statue of Nike.
She was the goddess of victory or something, so that's why they named the missile after her.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
And the shoe. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, maybe the shoe too. That would make sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
No kidding. This is a fun game. All right. We're all learning something today. All right. Hate breeders.
Hate breeders. What this song is coming to mean to me is kind of the way hatred is just passed down from generation to generation, even if it's racism or whatever. It's like he says the hate is bred right into their fucking bones. And, it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's saying that humans are trained to hate each other, So I don't know what movie, something like American History X or something just about intense hatred of other people. It's not a horror movie. Yeah.
I was thinking of the movie Shockwave. Remember Shockwave?
No, what is that?
Shockwave is like the first original Nazi zombie movie.
Oh,
There's like these tourists. They're on a boat. They're sailing in the Caribbean or someplace, maybe in South Africa or whatever. I don't know, maybe in South America. I don't even remember. It's like such an old movie. It's from like the late 1970s. They used to play it on like Sunday afternoons or whatever. Remember Sunday afternoons? They would play like a double feature of like scary movies and stuff.
Well, like that guy Superhost. He probably played that.
Probably.
Yeah.
But Shockwave, it's like these people, they land up on this like old abandoned Nazi experimental island, right? That has like these Nazi zombies. They're all walking around very slowly, and their whole purpose is to kill. So that's kind of what I think Hate Breeders is about. You know, it's this island of just people that breed hate, and all they want to do is just kill everything that's not, you know, Nazi-esque, I guess. I don't know. Nazis full of hate. It's true.
Absolutely.
I don't know. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I can't think of a specific movie. I mean, yeah, you can't contradict the Nazis were full of hate. But yeah, I think I can't think of a specific movie, but I think an indictment of society in a, you know, very narrow-minded place, you know. Yeah, and I think it's a critical look at American society, you know.
Well, we kind of got deep there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go on the opposite side of the pendulum. The more happy kind of Misfit song. Mommy, can I go out and kill tonight? Please.
Psycho. Psycho has to be part of it, right? Norman
Yeah.
Bates.
I'd say so. Yeah. Greg, what do you think? Psycho?
Carrie,
Oh,
doesn't she?
yeah. Sure.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the remake of Carrie?
No.
Oh my God. I thought it was going to be terrible, but it's quite impressive.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, Carrie, a remake? Oh my God. No, they can't think of anything in Hollywood. I watched it. I was like, wow, this is quite impressive. Oh my God.
Wow.
Bloody,
Timeless.
gruesome. Yeah.
Timeless tale.
Stephen King's first novel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call, Greg. Yeah, that makes because that Carrie was so dominated by her mother, right? It was all about her mother, and yeah, that's
She gets revenge at the prom.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ultimately
yeah.
what happened.
Nice.
I got
Okay,
a
the
little
next
guest
one.
here. Hold on, guys. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Night of the Living Dead. What do you think?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Night of the Living Dead, and
There you go. You can't go wrong. Great movie. Which one do you prefer, the original black and white or the color remake?
black and white. Yeah,
Black and white. Me
Yeah,
too.
I think you got to
But the
go.
color one was actually pretty good.
I was a fan of that Return of the Living Dead that mixed it with
Oh, the
punk.
The one with the zombies and the punk
Yeah,
rockers.
yeah. Like I watched that a million times.
Oh
You
my
know.
God. Yeah, there's like one punk rock girl that's like naked and dancing and stuff. I'm like a
Yeah.
little kid. I'm just like, oh my God, I want to be a punk.
Yeah. That
Punks
That
no
movie-
naked girls.
movie opened things up definitely.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh, you know, I had that poster too in my room. I had that green Misfits poster, and next to it, I had that Return of the Living Dead poster.
It's a good combination.
Hmm.
Okay, next one. Skulls.
Huh. So it's got to be about kind of a serial killer.
Mhm.
Texas
Oh.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Boom, Greg, nailing it. Oh
Good call.
man. All right.
And of course, isn't that featured on the first Ramones album?
A clip from it, or what?
No,
are you
they have
talking
the song. They have a song.
about? Oh yeah. What's the name of the song?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ah,
Texas,
Oh.
right? Don't
okay.
they?
So that's so.
I think.
No, that does ring a bell, Greg.
Gosh, yeah. It's been a while since I visited the Misfits. Interesting. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's on their first on the eponymous Ramones LP. So that's a little validates my earlier perspective on the Ramones influence on the Misfits.
Mm-hmm. No,
Both kind of horror movie fans, but that's not any great insight or any novel insight, but
Well, I mean, so the Ramones were at least dabbling in that, right? So not
Yeah,
in the
they didn't
case of
make
the
it
Misfits,
their
like all their songs are about it. But,
front and center. Yeah.
mm,
Well, they were performing at the same time. Like the Ramones were playing at CBGB's, and the Misfits were playing more at Max's Kansas City.
But they
But
played it
on the same time period.
The Misfits.
just down
Yeah.
the road from each other.
Pretty much. And the reason why the Misfits didn't play at CBGB's is because, well, Danzig supposedly had an argument with the owner.
Oh, really?
All that Danzig. No, I love Danzig. Don't get me wrong. I think he's awesome. I think he's great. I love Danzig, but it's just like half his stories are about him not getting along with people.
Yeah.
But that's kind of his charm, though. That's kind of his charm. Okay, next one, Violent World. Violent World.
Now it makes me think of like National Enquirer and stuff like that, like all those really corny headlines you used to see. So it seems to me like at the beginning of the song, he's almost just spouting a bunch of those headlines. Pregnant woman in Mexico gives birth to a stillborn monster baby. Like, to me, it feels like headlines jumping out at you from the tabloid rack at the supermarket. I mean,
Good point. Yeah.
but movie, I'm not sure.
Greg?
That one I'm drawn to. Yeah, I like that interpretation you have, Dave. Yeah, I'll go with that. I don't have anything better. Or
Warriors. Come on and play.
Ah.
Warriors. Come on and play.
So what's your tie-in there, Johnny?
It's a violent world. That's the whole theme of like the Warriors, you know. They're in New York. New York is pretty much a war zone. If they're not fighting the cops, they're fighting amongst each other and stuff. And then pretty much it's like a violent world.
Wow. And hey, and now that you mentioned it, Clockwork Orange, right?
Ah, yeah.
There's no law and order anymore, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Devil's Whorehouse.
What's that Tarantino one with the vampires, Harvey Keitel?
Right. You're thinking of Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, right?
Roadhouse.
Oh, wait. So I want to say it from Dusk Till Dawn. That's not it, though, is it? Dusk Till Dawn? Is that Tarantino?
Oh, I'll take that
might
one.
be it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, isn't that kind of like a devil's kind of strip club, or like a vampire strip club? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely take that one.
But again, that's after this album, but that's what came to mind.
That's definitely a Devil's Whorehouse. If there is such a movie called Devil's Whorehouse, it would be this. From Dusk Till Dawn. Great movie. Okay, next one. Astro Zombies.
Huh. So something that would combine zombies with space. I mean,
Rob Zombie.
it makes you think of every zombie movie, but I mean, to exactly related with space. Why does Rob Zombie's movies have an astro element to them?
No, it just made me think of Rob Zombie. I don't know this one. Yeah, I'm not enough of a horror movie fan for this one.
But Greg, you've been running the board.
Well, but yeah, the sci-fi with the horror.
It's got to be an old black and white B movie, like something that Ed Wood made, like Plan 9 or something.
Yeah. So a lot of people, like I've watched a lot of, I've listened to a few, leading up to this, listen to some podcasts and watch some, people that do countdowns of their favorite songs on this album. So Astro Zombies is a lot of people's favorite song on the album.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a great song. It
is.
Jumped out at me. I put it on a Halloween mix. Yeah, that's a really catchy song.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just surprised. I'm just kind of surprised how many people were in agreement about that, because I saw some people, they say like, oh, definitely Astro Zombies, where I kind of hold all these tracks on the same ground. Like I love them all. So I was just kind of surprised that so many people seem to say that Astro Zombies was especially the track. But
Guys, I gotta take a short break. I gotta provide some IT support for this guy upstairs.
All
You
right.
guys keep going. I'll be back in 1 minute.
No
Right.
problem. I'm more of a skulls kind of person. In fact, when I was a kid, I thought it was souls. You know, I thought it was like,
I
"Oh,
want
I
your
want
soul."
your soul. I
Yeah,
thought it
you
was a
just do
love
it.
song when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I never thought about turning it over and then looking at the name of the track. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was, I want your soul. I probably thought that for a long time until I like looked over. I'm like, huh, skulls. It's not a love song at all.
That's kind of what I was saying. Like, there's, as much as I loved this music, I never had a strong need to really cut it apart and analyze the meaning of everything, just because
No, it's fun.
I was so satisfied on the surface level,
Mm-hmm.
But when you dig deeper, yeah, like that thing about Nike a Go-Go, that's pretty cool. It's a song about a missile and stuff like that. And
That's
yeah,
crazy.
that hate breeders could be some, social commentary and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was simply enjoying the stuff, So it's
Oh yeah. I thought most people like Mommy, Can I Go On and Kill Tonight? Because when I was a kid, everyone's like, Mommy, can I go on and kill tonight? That was like kind of like, what all the young kids like, just because it was just so abstract to like real life, who's going to ask their mom if they can go out and kill tonight, unless it's like Devil's Night or Halloween, Mommy. And just the way Glenn sang, back then, it was just so different, it was kind of like, that's the thing that ties them into the Ramones again, the way that Joey Ramone sang and the way that Glenn sang. It was just hard to understand what they were actually saying, except for like, the names of the songs, like Mama, can I go out and kill tonight? It's just like nobody could sing along, but that was
except
part of
except for the chorus, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mama. Yeah, that was great. Skull. Oh, great stuff.
But maybe even with that song too, Mommy, Can I? It's almost like the punchline is just baked into the title, So maybe that's why people would instantly like it. If I had to pick a top track, so much great stuff, but there's something about 20 Eyes. Maybe just because it's the first track. It's just one of my first, one of my all-time favorite like lead-off tracks to an album.
What's especially beautiful about this CD or cassette or record is that every single song is great, and they don't make anything like that anymore. But back in the day, punk rock albums, every song was great. Usually, like for example, the Ramones. If you listen to the first Ramones album, every single song is fucking tight. And if you Sex Pistols, never mind the Bullocks, here's the Sex Pistols. Every single song is great. You can listen to the full album from beginning to end, and at the very end, you're like, it's like finishing a good book. You're like, that was great.
Yeah.
I feel satisfied. I feel like doing something now. In fact, I think I'm inspired, and you just don't get that anymore. Everybody's doing SoundCloud where they just release one track and they're like, all right, we did it. That's it. We released one good song. No, man, back then, even though like every song was recorded at a different studio, still the final product is just like a piece of just, it's just a work of art on so many different levels. I mean, coming from the artwork to every song to how the song was recorded. I mean, even the songs were like the live song, Mommy, Can I Go On and Kill Tonight? I mean, it's not the best recording, but there's something there. There's magic in it. It just makes you appreciate it. Oh, the energy, for God's sake. Yes, absolutely. The energy is just marvelous, dude. It's spectacular. Yeah, it's something that you can just sit down and listen to. Or, I mean, dude, if you like going to the gym, I'm not a gym person, but if you're a gym person, going to the gym and then running like 20 miles on the treadmill, listening to this album is definitely going to be your little, your caffeine that's going to keep you going, your audio caffeine, it's beautiful. It's a great album. And in my opinion, it's their best album. They got a couple albums after this, which are great. Like we talked about Static. Static's fantastic. What is the one with like the yellow background with the black skull? Is that called Plan 9? Is that what it's called?
It's I think it might just be called the Misfits, but it's just a collection kind of it's almost like a greatest hits. If I understand correctly.
Yeah, it's a good one too, though.
It gets confusing because there is a lot of overlap and different versions and stuff like that. I didn't realize until leading up to this, that this album is only 24 minutes long. I mean, to me, it feels like it's 40. I guess I never thought about it, but it does not feel like an especially short album just because, it's it takes you all over the place.
Well, it's early punk rock. Early
Yeah.
punk rock was like DRI, GBH. Those bands had like songs that are like 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's it. That's our song. Like, oh, okay. I guess it's about Reagan. Is it about Reagan?
Mm.
All right, guys. Last one, Brain Eaters.
I mean that zombies again, right? Brains.
Zombie movie.
Mm. Mm.
Which zombie movie though?
Well, the one I was just
want to say, and again, I'm not an authority. I want to say Night of the Living Dead, but that's got to go for number 8. So,
and they didn't talk back then. Which ones did they start talking and actually saying brains?
Well, the one I'm talking about, the one we were talking about with the punk rock girl dancing on the grave, Return of the Living Dead. They say brains in that movie, I think.
Yes, they do.
Zombies. Yeah.
More brains. Remember that line? Oh, that movie, it's great. What you guys saw that whole movie? Have you seen that movie recently?
No.
Oh
I
my
probably
God.
watched clips from it recently though, just for fun. But
You got to revisit it. The military scenes are classic because the military scenes, what they say is like everything has a code. Like I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but I just remember the military scenes. Like for example, some general somewhere gets a phone call and he's like, "Yes, this is General Smith." Because it's a B movie. "Oh, the Easter eggs are ready. Have they hatched?" He's got like all these weird codes and stuff. When I was a little kid, I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. Easter eggs mean zombies." Anyway, you got to revisit that movie. But yes, Brain Eaters is about zombies. Well, bravo, gentlemen. I think we broke down the title and theme of every song, and I think you guys did great. I'm impressed. I learned something. Nike a go go ho ho.
Hey, let's watch the.
Well, wait. Before we move on from the topic of film, did you know? Interesting factoid again. Compliments of Wikipedia. They said Glenn Danzig found inspiration for the band name The Misfits from the 1961 Marilyn Monroe film The Misfits, not a horror movie. So,
I did know that. Yeah,
you knew that one.
Yeah, but
that's pretty hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah,
pretty.
Yeah. What's the movie about? Does it say? Like I mean, I just knew.
I
don't
know. I think it's it's like a romantic comedy.
Huh.
I think. Let me hear. I'll research that. Well, go on, Dave. I don't want to.
His song about Marilyn Monroe is great. That Who Killed Marilyn Monroe. I've been listening to that the last couple of days. Good stuff. Not on this album, but I think it's just a 7-inch or something.
So Danzig was quite a fan.
Yeah,
I guess so.
One thing that everybody in the Misfits had in common was that they were very big in the 50s. Like they all are Elvis guys. They all love Elvis. That's probably where the Devil Lock originated from, was like that Elvis DA duck's ass haircut, They just took it to the next level. It's just like instead of going up like this, it's all grown out like that,
Yeah. It's
just taking that to an absurd level.
Yeah.
Pretty absurd.
Correction on what I said. It's The Misfits was drama, 1961 drama, written by Arthur Miller. Oh, so pretty serious. It was posthumously released after Marilyn Monroe's death. Or no. Clark Gable was in it. It was released after his death, and then Monroe died the next year.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
wow.
Kind of heavy.
That is pretty heavy. The only Marilyn Monroe movie I've ever seen was the Gangs one, Some Like It Hot.
Yeah, I think that's the one with Jack Lemmon and...
Was it Gary Cooper or somebody? I don't know.
Jack Lemmon and...
Vic Van Dyke?
Walter Matthau.
I don't know.
But yeah, I know. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I mean, I've seen bits of it.
Yeah, no, my mom was a Marilyn Monroe fanatic, so yeah. Oh man, yeah, I remember watching that movie quite a bit, and man, she was so gorgeous. Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah, I just love that kind of that style. Yeah, I guess that her style, I guess Madonna's style, kind of like that dirty blonde kind of thing. Oh God, I don't know. It gets me going. Oh, Marilyn.
Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis, that's the guy.
The buddies, Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon.
Oh man, yeah, good movie. Oh man, they don't make movies like that anymore because it's in black and white. Everything's in color these days. They got to make black and white come back into fashion. Everything gets recycled. How about black and white? Let's bring black and white back.
Yeah, that's for a while in the 80s and 90s, you'd see some black and white films. Oh, Raging Bull.
Oh, snap, Raging Bull. Yeah, that was black and white. Sometimes music videos are in black and white. Like, I mean, in the 90s, U2 had The Streets with No Name. You know, that was pretty big. Even what Sweet Child of Mine, you know, Guns N' Roses, that was black and white. How come we don't have any more black and white movies? I mean, now everything's like so saturated.
Do you remember that movie is called The Addiction, I think, with Lily Taylor? And it was about vampirism / heroin addiction.
Yeah.
What?
I saw part of that. Yeah.
It was a cool movie. Wait, are you guys still seeing the image of the Misfits, or are you seeing me flip through my?
No, it's the back. It's the track list.
Oh, okay, good. You're still looking at it. Yeah, I'm gonna fire up the Brain Eaters video clip. So they only made
that's right.
They made one video off this album, and it's for the 56-second song Brain Eaters.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Hey, but you know what I've heard tell of in my research? They apparently made a video for Night of the Living Dead, filmed at a graveyard in Cleveland, and somehow it's just never been released.
Huh.
Glenn, come on.
Yeah, like, what are you guys doing? They made a lot. I mean, so even Static Age wasn't released for, over 25 years. Like, why are they sitting on this stuff,
Oh, it's probably copyrights because the band's recently they kind of got back together and they performed, I think, 2 years ago together.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you've had you had Doyle and Jerry, and then you had Glenn on the other side, and they've kind of clashed a little bit legally. And so I guess like releasing something, I don't know, there's got to be lawyers involved and all sorts of other baloney, but that's the weird thing. And I think Doyle said this best. Rock and roll is like the craziest industry because a lot of guys just can't get together and just like sort out their differences to make millions upon millions of dollars, because if the Misfits released a new album, or if they released it, or if they went on tour, or if they released a video, every single person that's like from the age of like 13 to like, I don't know, 300 is going to be into that, I mean, seriously, I mean, we're all like older guys, but if like the Misfits released a new CD, even if it was on CD and not even digital, well, I guess digital these days, I guess, but anyway, we'd all buy it,
I definitely
I would.
live. if they came to Tokyo, so when they played those shows 2 years ago, they had Dave Lombardo on drums, right? Slayer drummer, right? So that would be
sure.
That would be pretty. I imagine they could sound better than ever with a bit of practice,
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. God, that'd be so cool to see.
But they sold out Madison Square Garden. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I saw they were slated to play this big festival in Mexico City.
Ooh.
And it's postponed because of the pandemic. Let me see.
Oh, that COVID.
Let me see what that Misfits Mexico. Let me see what the name of the festival is.
Hey, Greg, while you're looking that up, I have brain.
I'm a Nation Festival.
I'm a Nation.
Title.
Oh wait,
Can I do this, Greg, while you're looking at it, or
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's just a minute long, but this is Yeah, they're video for brain eaters.
Oh, wow. That was cool. That was cool. You know, a thing about that video, they're drinking Heineken.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, what's with musicians and Heineken?
Oh,
So many musicians love Heineken.
Oh, really?
Miles Davis swore by Heineken. I read his book, and in his book, like 3 times, he's like, you know, I think I could stop drinking the liquor, but I just can't stop my Heineken. I'm like, is this book sponsored by Heineken? What's going on here?
Huh.
Yeah. So every time I see a rock star now and they're drinking beer, I'm like, is that a Heineken? It's a Heineken. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Something about rock stars and Heineken. I don't know what's up.
I noticed that too, because it kind of breaks the mood. Yeah, I feel like they should have got like just some like Viking-esque looking like mugs or something. It just seems funny to have the bottles of Heineken there.
The dead likes to dance with Heineken. I guess that's how they roll.
So they obviously just made that video. I mean, it's just, you know, within an hour or two, I imagine.
Oh yeah. Well, it's punk rock, you know, that's how you roll. But no, that's great. That's great. I'm really glad to see that. You know, that's cool. It's cool to see them all together and all young and stuff, you know, rocking the Misfits, like, you know, the gloves and shit. That's pretty cool. Takes me back to a better place.
I wish
man.
MTV would have played that. That would have blown my mind if I saw that, you know?
It probably did, like late at night, like Headbangers Ball or 120 Minutes or something back in the day.
But those didn't start up till the late 80s, right? So somehow like MTV just didn't have that idea that they should play certain videos at certain times. Like Headbangers Ball started in 87. I forget about 120 Minutes, but it was, you know, years after the station kicked off.
Yeah, that's right. Back in the day, MTV would play like Rat, then they play Madonna, then they play Cinderella, and then they play Motley Crue, and then they play like Tears for Fears, you know? It's just like all over the place.
And then they'd even play like an old video by the Beatles or something, like just any, you know, like just anything they could do.
Please watch our channel.
The one thing, do you guys remember Closet Classics?
Yeah.
That was maybe before Headbangers Ball. That was like this when I was in high school, like 85, 86, they would play 60s videos like, you know, Black Sabbath or Blue Cheer.
So
or
kind of before they had VH1, right? They do Closet Classics, right?
Do they still do it?
No, I'm saying because when VH1 came out, they kind of tailored more to classic rock.
It was still MTV, I think.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I think what you're talking, like, before there was any outlet to play the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
MTV would just do it like that. This is a classic.
Yeah. Domination Festival. In Mexico, they're slated to headline along with Def Leppard.
Wow.
With the original members.
Huh.
Wow.
What
a combination.
Yeah.
You think Glenn would get in a fight with Def Leppard?
You know, photographs sucked.
Should we listen to a few more tracks?
No, let's watch them in the movies. You know, they were in the movie Big City, was it Big Money Hustler by the ICP? You know that, right? They had a cameo.
I did hear about that, yeah. Should we check it out? Is it on YouTube?
I'm sure everything's on YouTube. Yeah. Misfits Big Money Hustler.
Okay.
Which is a terrible, terrible movie. I tried to watch it twice. Oh my God.
Now, how about I found it. Johnny, did you watch Glenn's movie that came out? Like, what is it, this
No.
year or whatever?
I want to.
Everyone's saying it's so terrible. Like it's
I don't care, man. Sometimes bad is good.
but they're comparing it to The Room, you know, as just one of the worst movies ever made. I don't know. It's called it's the violence and erotica, you know, together, Verotica. And
I'm in.
Danzig,
I'm in. I
Danzig
don't care.
wrote and directed it. Yeah, check it out. Well, we can watch the. Well, okay, I got the one thing queued up. You're just talking about. Let's see. The.
All right, I want to watch the trailer too.
Okay. Wait, big. Wait, Misfits. Oh, somehow I ended up on a different page here. All right, Big Money Hustlers. All right, so this is a 2-minute clip. Should we check this out?
Think it. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, wait, this is the Misfits and the Insane Clown Posse.
Pretty much, yeah. I think they go together because they like wrestling.
Okay. So Glenn is Glenn involved in this?
Probably not. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've
All
seen
right.
it. It just popped in my mind like most things.
All right, let's see if I could get it on a higher. Okay, 480, not bad. All right.
I don't know why some of this didn't work. I must have tried it 1,000 times.
You gotta plug it in next time, you stupid fuck.
Look, there's a lot of places you're gonna need to know about here in the city. First and most important is right here, the Donut Hut. It's where me and most of my fellow officers of the law spend our nights, days, you know, whatever. Can you blame us? Look over there. French crullers, cinnamon twirls, fallopian fruit flippers. Look at that shit. Fucking coconut sprinkled assholes, Chinese Wonder Puffs.
Look, Cat, how you
think
plan
that's
on
about
cleaning
it.
up these streets when all you concerned about is these goddamn meats?
No, I just meant, you know, on our lunch break and things like that.
Do we see more Misfits? Should I?
I think for a second, but that was pretty much it. That was their big movie debut.
Ah, look good.
They look great, right?
Yeah.
That's obviously Misfits from the 90s, but still, you know, it's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Chilling with the Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, the look still works. I mean, the look is timeless, right? They always look kind of scary and dangerous, right? What do you guys think? Johnny, I'll let you pick a song. Pick a song off this album.
Oh, well, we got to go Astro for sure.
Okay. All right, let's do it. Because you got to always figure maybe there's people out there who've never heard this. So let's
Yeah.
True.
Do. All righty.
to get into it. Beautiful song, very catchy. Absolutely one of my top 10.
Greg, Astro Zombies. That's right. You said that's one of your favorites too.
Know what I was? Yeah, I love that song. And know what I was? And I wrote it down earlier, and I didn't mention. Before I mentioned the Ramones influence, but the Damned, who that said they opened up for him at CBGB's in 1979, but it reminds me a lot of the Damned, especially the Machine Gun Etiquette, that Damned album, the guitar, the vocals, definitely those big choruses and those kind of, whether it's Glenn Danzig by himself or the other guys, those kind of backing harmonies. Hearing a big influence from the Damned. The Damned too, Dave Vanian was kind of an early gothic influencer. He would dress up like a vampire with the white makeup. And you dress up like a vampire. I mean, and again, they didn't go into the lyric content, the whole horror theme like the Misfits did, but I can definitely, the sound of the band and some of their look, I could definitely see a Damned influence. Do you want to play 20 Eyes?
20 Eyes, yeah.
Can't go wrong.
The first track.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah. It's great how they end it with just, a bunch of scream, it just sounds awesome.
Oh man. Did they start that? Was that their thing? Did they start that, or were they kind of mimicking some other band? I'm not even sure because it's so long ago.
With that kind of like chanting, screaming type stuff?
Yeah.
I think they're extending the Ramones a bit, right? The Ramones have that. I mean, it's certainly like Blitzkrieg Pop and things like that.
Yeah, I guess right. I guess they just took it to the next level.
Yeah. But I like at the end, it almost sounds like everyone wants to give one more last scream, like oh. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the energy of the audience back then?
Yeah.
You know, it must have been insane.
Mm. But I heard one thing I listened to is they were saying like the New York hardcore bands like Cro-Mags and other things like that, kind of their fans were kind of leery of the Misfits because, well, just because they were wearing makeup and they seemed kind of schlocky and stuff. Like they weren't immediately embraced by like the hardcore scene in New York City. So have you heard anything like that?
No, not at all. I haven't heard anything about that. I know some bands didn't want to play with Twisted Sister because of the makeup.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I mean, and that's weird because that was kind of like, you know, at the tail end of the glam thing, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, I've never heard any of that about like the Misfits. No. But I'm sure that happened, you know. I mean, geez, I mean, you know, I mean, if you're like a punk rock band and you have like one kind of a thing, like for example, if you're like, I don't know, I don't know who else was playing back then except for like, you know, the major bands, you know, like the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, 19.
But New York had a hardcore, because I usually think New York more west, or I'm sorry, hardcore is more West Coast, and then kind of DC, right? But New York, there was a band, the Cro-Mags and Agnostic Front and bands like this were like the New York City hardcore.
That was
And
later though. Hardcore came on like maybe like 82, 83 with Black Flag. And well, Black Flag was West Coast, but East Coast had like, who was the, oh gosh, all right, you're gonna put me in a corner here. Who was East Coast? Okay, DC was Bad Brains for sure, Minor Threat, Cro-Mags, Agnostic Front. But that was later though. I don't think the Misfits were hardcore at all. I think they're like two different genres, even though they probably did play together.
It was this podcast I was listening to, and yeah, I listened to a bunch this week, so I can't remember who it was. But it was a woman. She was talking about just the hardcore scene in New York City in the early 80s. And she was saying like it was a big deal when the Misfits would play Halloween, right? Like you would associate them with, oh, it's Halloween, time for the big Misfit show, right? So they were kind of viewed as like kind of gimmicky for a while,
Mm-hmm.
you know, compared to the other guys.
Possibly. I don't know. It's a little bit before my time. I was like 2 years old back then, but
Yeah. The Misfits survived, you know, longer than all that. So,
oh my God, they're pretty old right now. They are pretty old. They got together in like 1977, and their first album was Walk Among Us, which was released in 1982. And in between that time, they were dropping singles. So, I mean, they've been around for a long time. I mean, they were around with the Ramones. We're pretty much, you know, catching traction. And I mean, for them to be pretty much all alive, that's great. You know, I mean, we've got Doyle's alive, Danzig's alive, Jerry's alive. Now, I don't know about all the other guys because they've had like, I think like 10 other people in the band, maybe more throughout the years and stuff. I even think that Marky Ramone was the drummer once.
I think
Wasn't he the drummer for like a little bit?
I think so.
For a 25th anniversary tour.
Oh,
Marky Ramone.
And
they had what else? They had two guys from Dez from Black Flag played in the Misfits for a while.
Oh, and Robo from Black Flag.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, Greg's.
Somebody just
was getting
Nolan
robbed.
just popped in. Yeah.
Place is getting robbed, dude. Some guy with a ski mask just popped his head in. He's like, shit, somebody's here.
There's a little video. I know there's a video I watched today which shows the Misfits live in 1983 in Coletta Valley, which is in California. I think they're playing with the Circle Jerks.
Oh,
but a kid tries to steal the microphone, and then it kind of touches on maybe that lack of acceptance in hardcore circles, and also kind of California New York rivalry.
Mm-hmm. Greg, do you want to? I just gave you share privileges. If you want to show that video, or
Yeah, I've got it here. Coincidentally enough, let's see. Wait.
Yeah, I've seen some like footage
click.
of them from the early 80s that's like pretty grainy, but you could, you could feel the emotion.
All right, let me get this. So you're
there you go.
Okay.
Now that's a fun show.
So a kid grabs
I love the bounce. I love the bouncer with the really healthy looking all-American guy. Let me see. You can see it. You can see it better when it's not.
Make it full screen, or do you want me to share it?
You want it?
Oh, that's good. Oh yeah. Yeah, this guy, the blonde guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what was he listening to? In the car.
Skinner.
Yeah. I remember these kind of lectures, like at Fugazi shows, right?
Yeah.
Ian MacKay would kind of, you're ruining it for everybody. We need everybody to. Rollins used to do that too, kind of.
I remember seeing the first time I saw Fugazi in LA, a kid threw a shoe. And I don't know if it hit Ian MacKay, but it hit one of them or came close. And he's like, why would you come to a show and throw a shoe? Whose shoe is it? And then the other guy, Prosciutto, come on, is this going to be like Cinderella? Who fits the shoe? We're going to call someone up here, and if it fits, you're out. So yeah, similar. Yeah, those kids were out of control.
When Glenn Danzig is the adult in the room, they're in bad shape.
You want to? Then there's later where the kids. I want to get to the part where he stage dives. They grab the mic and they're
full screen. Yeah, there you go. The wall of speakers looks awesome.
Yeah, they definitely know how to put on a show.
So have you talked to anyone that saw their shows in 2018 when Glenn's back and Lombardo on drums? And
me?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone from the States that went to that or anything?
Yeah. See, who did I talk to? I talked to one person that was there. Oh God, yeah. I spoke with Fat Mike when he was in Japan from NoFX. And when he was here, I did a podcast with him, which is like a completely different story. But he was talking about the Misfits show. And yeah, he said it was actually pretty amazing. So, but that's about it. And that's my name drop for today. Boom.
Yeah,
that's it. Time to go, guys. It's lunchtime.
You've had some famous guests on there, right?
I got Faded Japan. Yeah, we've had quite a few. I don't know. It's great. It's fun. By the way, for all you listeners out there and viewers, I do have a podcast, Got Faded Japan, the Got Faded Japan podcast. Pretty much we focus on the subculture of Japan. We also drink a lot of booze and we talk about the current, bizarre, interesting news. Our theme is Two Dudes, Booze, Japan in the News. So if you're interested in that, definitely give us a listen or a watch. We're on iTunes, YouTube, and all that stuff. And yeah, if you do like the Misfits and you like art, I'm also on The Spilt Ink, TheSpiltInk. That's a website that's also on Instagram. And yeah, on that note, gentlemen, I think I got to get going soon too.
All right. Yeah. Wait, Johnny, how long's your podcast been? I know you're like up to like 570 something or other. How many years have you been doing it?
We dropped our first episode in 2009.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, so we've been doing it weekly for the last 11 years, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, if you watch some of the old videos, I'm really young. My voice is even different. I'm like, hi guys, welcome to the Got Fit in Japan podcast. We're talking about some groovy stuff. I'm like, oh God, now that's embarrassing. Yeah.
I remember meeting that guy. When I first met you at Gamasto,
I remember being that guy.
that was probably 2009, 2010. All right.
Oh
Greg.
yeah, that's when you used to have your event at
Yeah,
did we lose Greg?
at Gamasto. Hey, Greg, we're going to wrap it up
"Fuck it,
here.
I'm out of here."
All right. Greg, we're saying goodbye. maybe his house. Maybe his house.
I already
was
dropped
safe.
my plugs.
Yeah. Greg, shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, we got wrapped. Sorry, I was trying to get the dog down here, but
The
you can hear
wheels
in the
have fallen
background. We'll be
off.
saying goodbye.
We love dogs.
All right. Hey, Johnny, we'll do this again sometime with another album you're into. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Give me a call, guys. All right. Thank you so much for having me. Your show is absolutely spectacular. And thank you to everybody that's listening and watching this. All right. Misfits rule. Later, guys.
Thanks,
long,
Johnny.
Johnny.
Thank you.
Peace.
Nice. Oh, Greg's doing the devil lock. Nice.
Oh, nice. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. It's been great being on your show. I'll see you guys later. Let me
All
know when
right.
this drops, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool.
All right.
Take
Peace,
care.
guys.